8 years ago, Kerr County, Texas, rejected systems for flood alert. Every county in America has the right to be stupid and mean and destroy the lives of its inhabitants. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has scrubbed government websites of references to climate change. Asked why the fuck, a spoke that people spent too much time on screens, and that the climate changes all the time anyway. So, feel free to go to summer camp.
لآخر نقطة دم في روحي لآخر نفس فيا لما يعني
Bro Bibi has nominated Bro Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. Of course, the prize is rigged, and only losers win it. Meanwhile, centrist, hawkish Israeli commentators are stating that Hamas cannot be destroyed, short of eliminating all Palestinians from Palestine, starting with Gaza. The alternative idea of instead addressing the underlying grievances of the local populace is widely considered in Israel as comedic and obviously anti-Semitic. So, amputees, trauma, mass slaughter, starvation, oops.
لما يعني خلص هيك يبطل فيا نفس أنا خليك أموت بعديها بندفن حتى في أرضي يسعد الله
The gargantuan Grotesquely Grabby Bill is ingenious. Tax cuts for the rich today, aid cuts for the poor the day after the next elections. Giving solar money to coal and Medicaid money to billionaires is bad enough, but fixing it so no one notices until it's too late? Project 2025 level genius. Vote for this much? You may recall that President Grudge and Tantrum cut off all aid to South Africa due to their confiscation of land confiscated by whites during their brief white rule of the country from 1652 to 1994, supported in its later years by St. Reagan. The whites had been forced to take the land to even the playing field with native Africans, whose unfair advantages included their numbers and their living in their own country. South Africa's president says no land has been confiscated, but he is obviously ill-informed. The self-styled government of South Africa has now threatened to withhold mined minerals from the U.S. The fact that U.S. wealth starts with African slave labor and free stolen land, and that Europe destroyed Africa to get its riches, means that today's refusal by the richest people in the world to help the poor is deeply Christian, I guess. Dick-in-Chief Trump has also axed the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, put in place by internal enemy Jimmy Carter. It is now legal to bribe foreign government officials to win business. No one can figure out why he did this. He also fired the head of the Office of Government Ethics and the lead investigator of whistleblower complaints. Ditto and ditto. Immigrants have always been important to the United States' progress, but every so often it becomes necessary, in the view of some master distractors, to paint them as a problem. And you motherfuckers fell for it again. Here's Arkansas Representative John Tillman on immigration. We have admitted the dregs of Europe until America has been Orientalized, Europeanized, Africanized, and Mongolized. That just in, from 1924. What's up with the nation's fall to the thrall of the right? Part 6. There's an old Turkish proverb, are there any new proverbs? The trees cheered on the axe, chopping them down because it had convinced them that because its handle was made of wood, it was one of them. What is America? A hemisphere, to be sure, but in the most arrogant section of it, just below Canada, it's a nation of slaughter, conquest, dispossession, and slavery. Come to think of it, that's the hemisphere also. Now, before you turn me into ice for masked thug disposal, note that it's also a country of immigrants, most of them despised and exploited in their turn. But most of them finally rising into the ranks of white supremacy. Even the Italians. Especially the Italians. Come on, Columbus fanboys, fess up. The Trumperium has called on the public to report anything posted or spoken at national parks that implied that there were any blemishes on America's perfect history. And to snap photos of anyone who, on receipt of such America-hating disinfo, nodded. They further mandated that any discussion of Martin Luther King should not mention racism, and any discussion of LGBTQ+ should not include TQ, or plus, or LGB. The National Education Association has severed ties with the Anti-Defamation League, charging it with being an anti-Palestinian hate group in the guise of, well, an anti-defamation league. They turned out to be rather pro-defamation, doxing anyone critical of Israel. They previously campaigned against descriptions of the U.S. as racist and against Black Lives Matter. The NEA itself, until recently, would not countenance the mention of Palestine at their meetings. But apparently, a critical mass of teachers saw a genocide on their phones.